Today we're going to take a look at my favorite team so far for the Fantasy Cup. We're going to have a team here with Kommo-O with the fast move of Poison Jab. This will allow you to basically bait out fairy type Pokemon and still punish them, so let's take a look at the gameplay with this team. And we're going to have a team here with the Skarmory in the lead and the Tornado in the back. This team was kind of inspired by the legend team of the Bassist, but yeah, I wanted to use the Skarmory in the lead instead of the Azumarill. And fun fact, by the way, for the first 5 battles I battled with this team here, which you're also going to still see in this video, it's just randomized, the order as always. I encountered every single time an Azumarill in the lead, so if I had my own Azumarill in the lead as well, I would have had basically a mirror the entire time, which would have not been really ideal. But otherwise, you can see already the matchup of the Kommo-O against the Azumarill, which is kind of a funny one. The thing is as well with this Pokemon, you can just try to go ahead and go for a farm down to, or like in general, just try to get as much energy as possible, which is kind of cool for it. You're basically always going to win against Azumarill in the 2-shield scenario, which is really cool for you, so definitely something that is kind of worth it. And you see already what you can do with all the energy that you're gonna gain from that, as you will be able to just completely annihilate the opponent here with our first game there with the Kommo-O. Next opponent, we're going to have the lead of the Slurpuff. Slurpuff usually runs the move Energy Ball plus Flamethrower, so we decided to swap out into our Kommo-O. It's kind of a risky one because their fast move is double super effective, but at least our fast move is also super effective. And I decided to use a shield because I should be able to get out of this matchup still with a ton of energy left. As you're going to see here as well, I nearly have 2 close combats stored, and you'll see that the opponent swaps back into their Flygon. Flygon is basically everywhere, so maybe I'm going to try to make a team to counter this eventually. But we will find out about this eventually as well. Maybe I don't, who knows. But we can still go for some Dragon Claws here, getting the shield back. And also, this is the main reason why I wanted to use the Skarmory in the lead. The cool thing about Skarmory in this matter is that you're going to be able to counter those Flygons quite easily. And this is exactly what we kind of try to do here. Skarmory will be able to do basically a great job there, but we can hardball the opponent anyway and win this game. Next opponent, we're going to have a Flygon in the lead against us, which is going to be also a little bit of a trickier one usually for my backline, but at least here in the lead, it's going to be a great one. They go for the Earth Power, which I found kind of interesting, as we can just go for our own Sky Attack, which will be able to get the shield from the opponent. We can still try to go for another Sky Attack afterwards, which is going to most likely get the knockout. I don't think they're going to go 2 shields down here. They do go 2 shields down against the Skarmory, which means that they're going to be very weak against Skarmory in the back, and usually you kind of want to keep the Skarmory around, but honestly, a 2 shield advantage, Kommo-O basically beats everything that's not on what's called Galarian Weezing. Galarian Weezing is a little bit tricky, but sadly we don't have 2 shields because the opponent still gets to a Dragon Claw, which you of course have to shield up. And now we will see what they have in the back. It's going to be a Dedenne, and we can try to catch a move on to our Tornado, which does not work out, but they're still going to go for a charge move, which I'm totally okay with. Like this, we can just take the player off, does around half of our health, but we can just go for the full farm down. I can use a shield here, I don't really care too much about it. We're going to still end up with a ton of energy. It's going to be discharged, and the opponent decides to just forfeit this game now. Next opponent, we're going to have the Azumarill in the lead, and now we're most likely going to have quite a few Azumarills in the lead because, yeah, again, as said before, the first set there played literally 5 times Azumarill lead back to back, which was just absolutely wild. It really depends on what the opponent has in terms of their moveset here, by the way. If they are running the move Ice Beam, that's going to be great for you. If they're going to run the move Hydro Pump, it's maybe not as great for you, but you can always go basically for the 0 shield scenario, which you're usually going to be able to win, but then it's going to be a little bit tricky here. For example, we're gonna get out the opponent's Lucario, which is okay for me. Power Punch is coming through. I can still bait with a Dragon Claw because of course they're going to use a shield here. Like, there's no way that they're going to risk their boost here and their health still for one close combat, and they're still gonna go for a charge move, which I definitely appreciate because they didn't have to. But what we can try to do now is we can try to go into our Tornado and see what the Tornado can do here. We can see a ton of damage coming through, but also from the opponent, because after the 2 buffs, it's going to do a ton of damage against us as well. But we can just go ahead and go for the full farm down, and in the back we have the Registeel, and Registeel will not appreciate any of the overheats coming its way, and so we can easily win this game. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have the Azumarill on the lead. Again, what a surprise, but you can kind of play this out kind of differently. What I kind of like to do is, I just kind of hope that the opponent goes for their charge move very early and not like this, for example, here. Because if they go for the charge move very early, you can go also for your Brave Bird very early. And if you land, you can just swap out into your, into your Kommo-O, because Kommo-O still has the super effective move there and just gets a ton of energy. But here the opponent didn't go early, so I decided to go straight for my secondary charge move there of the Sky Attack to knock them out and swap out immediately afterwards. And sometimes it can be a little bit problematic. We will see here that they're going to go into the Escavalier. Imagine I just stayed in and let them knock me out. I would have been able to align my Turtonator, but luckily they decided to go into their own Flygon, which is going to be actually amazing for me, as I can just go for my own Dragon Claw at this point. The opponent is going to have to let this move go through, and now they're going to be very, very low. And as long as I'm going to keep one shield for my Turtonator, I'm fairly certain I'm going to be fine. The opponent is going to take here a shield basically with that, Dragon Claw, going to shield this one up. I'm gonna let this next move go through. And because we're still going to have our Turtonator, which we're going to see here soon as well, we're going to be easily able to win the game, and the opponent decides to forfeit this one. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have another Azumarill in the lead, and again, we're going to see most likely a similar way of playing it out. If they throw early, you can also throw early with your Brave Bird. I think that was kinda early, kinda okay, depends if it's going to be Hydro Pump or not. It is Ice Beam, which is kinda decent. They're still gonna be able to most likely outspeed you, but if you have energy on your Kommo-O, you're going to be fine no matter really what is in the bag. Again, unless it's in the Galarian Weezing, you're going to be so okay here. We're going to be able to still just go ahead and use a shield against the Azumarill, and we get out the Turtonator from the opponent, which is going to be amazing, because you have these super effective Dragon Claws, and we're gonna get there fairly fast as well. We're gonna see here, the opponent is gonna get to their own charge move before, like I don't really want to throw there. A Dragon Claw wouldn't have knocked them out there anyway yet, and so because I wanted to shield anyway, I'd rather go for better alignment of my fast moves, so I can go for another Dragon Claw here, and it looks like this is perfect farm down range for me as well, which is going to be amazing, as you're going to see here now that the opponent is going to swap into their Flygon, and so they have to take all the Dragon Claws now, which is going to be great, because yeah, they don't really like this one. We're going to be even able to swap out now, and if the opponent swaps into the Azumarill, I can just farm them down. They cannot knock me out here, but what I can do is I can go for a big Brave Bird, and with a Brave Bird there's also a big boom coming their way, and so this is going to be one of the easiest matchups. Goodbye there, goodbye a Flygon. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have here the Alolan Sandsludge in the lead, which is going to be most likely the trickiest Pokemon to deal with for this team for the lead, because yeah, what can you really do here? Like, it is kinda a tricky one, because you have a great answer in the bag, but both your lead as well as your Pokemon that you usually use as a safe swap kinda struggling against it. And as you can see here, swapping into the Turtonator was definitely a mistake, because as we're gonna have here again, we're going to have the Tapu Fini against us, but here's actually a funny thing about it. Tapu Fini against the Turtonator in the Zero Shade scenario is, funnily enough, actually a good matchup for the Turtonator. Just the overheat is just doing way too much damage here, as you're gonna see as well. The overheat coming through, gonna get the knockout against the opponent, and so we can realign, which is not going to be the best one anyway, because you're gonna see that the opponent is going to have the Azumarill on the back, so it really depends if I can get the charge moves off correctly. I'm gonna try to go ahead and go for the full farm down here. And honestly, I should have most likely let this move go through. This is, I think, just an Ice Beam. Based on... No, never mind, it's a player. It's a good thing that I did not trust myself there and went for the shield instead. Because here I tried to catch the move, did not work out. They're gonna go back into the Sandslash, and we are in a tough spot. And here's the thing as well. This game going to be very close still. As you're gonna see, I can still go for the close combat, and the opponent is going to decide to let this move go through. And now it depends if I can still get them low enough for a close combat to knock them out at least. But also, here's the thing as well. I could go for the bait. Now, most I should go for the bait, but I said, maybe I can just still get to 2 close combats. And it turns out I am barely not going to be able to do it. I'm fairly certain he was just barely out of range anyway, so it didn't matter, but still, I would like to see how it actually went out then, but let's move on to the next game. Next opponent, again another Azumarill lead. As said before, like we had this like 5 times in a row, which was kinda mad. But we will see here as well that the opponent is gonna go ahead and goes for the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is coming through, going to get a lot of damage onto me. As we will see as well, the opponent going to have to take this Brave Bird. We will see the Escavalier swapping back in. And if I swapped into my Turtonator, I would have had the best opportunity to go for a full farm down. But no, I did not. And so I decided to just let this move go through, go for the close combat. Hopefully it's going to get the knockout or get get the shield. Shield would be even better, but no, they decide to let this move go through, and like this, yeah, I can go into my Turtonator and get one fast move in, but like it is looking a little bit rough here at this point. I can still try to go for one charge move or whatever eventually, but I decided to actually use a shield here onto the Ice Beam, thinking that my Turtonator is going to be really good in the back, because I feel like they're going to have another like steel type in the back, maybe something like the Lucario, which would be a little bit tricky, but we will find out together here. As you're gonna see, I can use a shield again, the opponent is gonna go for another charge move, it's going to be the Ice Beam, maybe I should have let this move go through, it is going to be the Lucario in the back, and so sadly this is going to be a loss for us, because what can we really do here? Power Punch is going to be a little bit too tricky for us to deal with, and so they're going to go for the charge move here. Power Punch should knock us out from this range, and it's a Blaze Kick. Blaze Kick is double resisted, and so we can go for the overheat and easily knock them out to win this game here with one more fast move of the Skarmory. Very lucky matchup, I would say, but again, Azumarill in the lead, what a surprise, we never had this one before, right? There's one Azumarill matchup which you're going to see as well, which I completely misplayed as well, so it might be this game here. This was actually the first, like, I don't know if this was actually the battle, because there were so many Azumarill leads, but there was like one battle that I did basically first with this team, where I completely struggled, where I didn't really pay too much attention as well, which I could have played a little bit better, but here we're gonna see as well what we can do, which is kind of cool. We can just go for 2 Brave Birds against the Azumarill, get them insanely low, and get some energy with the Kommo-O. So far so good, and yeah, this was actually the first battle that I battled with this team, as far as I can remember. They go into a Registeel, which is actually a decent matchup for us, of course, because we have just the close combat. Sadly, they're gonna get the debuff here. Focus Blast maybe actually would have knocked me out, which was a little bit scary there, I guess, but I decided to go for it, and it kind of worked out for me, because I can still go for another close combat at this point. But we're gonna see as well that it's going to still kind of go downhill. They're going to have a Turtonator in the back, and I was like, yeah, this is going to be fine. We're going to be able to go for another Dragon Claw here, and it's looking so great for me. But yeah, I kind of misplayed this all, because I decided to try to catch a move here, because I know that they were at 4 fast moves, and I was like, yeah, no way, they're gonna go up to 100 energy. They went up to 100 energy, and that's not all as well, because yeah, I should have also, this was a huge mistake by me, by the way. For 5-turn moves against 5-turn moves, you can just literally wait in the middle of the turn, because like you have 5 turns to basically throw your charge move, just wait out. If they go for one fast move, like it does not really matter. Huge mistake by me there. Like I should have played this so much easier and like so much better. But yeah, it is what it is. We're going to see here as well, the opponent is going to go for their own Dragon Pulse, and so they're going to sadly outspeed me now at the end. But this was so winnable if I just played it better. Huge mistake by me, not just like throwing in between basically the animation of the Incinerate, which would have been so easy to do. So my own mistake, should have won this game, but this was definitely on me. Next opponent, this is actually one of the matchups that I hate the most in Go Battle League in general. I always feel like I lose the matchup in the mirror scenario against Skarmory, like always I can do everything wrong, I feel like. But what you definitely want to do is, first always go for a Sky Attack. It doesn't really matter what the opponent really does here, we're always gonna go for a Sky Attack. And then it depends, if you go straight for your next charge move, it's going to be a little bit rough for you, because this is not the range hit for a Brave Bird. Brave Bird does not knock you out. Now, as the opponent goes for a Sky Attack, I know that I can knock them out with a Brave Bird from this range here, and we're gonna see the opponent is going to let this move go through, so they actually win the lead, but I'm going to give up on the lead immediately as I swap out and get out the Wigglytuff. But this is the cool thing here as well, I can still go for the close combat. Like, they do a ton of damage, but we're gonna get in our 2 fast moves for our Turtonator, and with this, we're going to have 1 fast move advantage, and the opponent is going to know that as well, and so we're going to be able to win this game. Final game. Horrible lead for us, like literally horrible lead, and I cannot really swap out either, because Poison Jab is not gonna do any damage against them. So I decided to go for the Brave Bird, which still should do a ton of damage. Berserker is pretty squishy, but let's see here, we're going to be able to swap out into our Kommo-O. They're gonna go for their own charge move, it's going to be the close combat of course, and they decide to swap out into the Flygon. Actually kind of fine for me, because I can still get a move off. I can align my Skarmory lay down, which is going to be great. My Turtonator should be kind of safe now, at least that's what I thought at this point. But yeah, let's take a look what I actually did here, which is kinda really an awkward thing to do. We're going to see that I can just swap out into my Skarmory, which is totally fine. But I expect that the opponent of course goes back into their Berserker now. And turns out they do not, and I just click onto my Pokemon and they go into the Azumarill. If I just stayed in, I had a huge chance of actually still winning this game, but I didn't. I still think I would have been in a really tough spot though, so yeah. That's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like, but this was definitely my best team so far that I played. It was a lot of fun to play it. A lot of mistakes on my side though, so definitely try to do it a little bit better than I did, and I can see you in the next video. Bye bye.